Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum, peace be unto you. Welcome to 1 Kings chapter 2. Hallelujah, Alhamdulillah, I have my voice back. I couldn't even talk in the previous chapter. My voice isn't 100%, but it is getting there, so all praise to Adonai. All praise to Yah. So, verse 46, or I should say 46 verses in this chapter. In verse 3, there's an addition of his testimonies. I'm going to actually put the ignore. There's a significant difference in the same verse, verse 3. It says, understand that you may understand what you shall do. So King David speaking to Solomon, so that he would be able to understand what he has to do. Verses that he may prosper. So it's one thing to have wisdom to know what to do, versus the health or wealth or prosperity gospel type of request. I command you, versus you turn yourself. So that's also significantly different, because it's King David is commanding his son. He's taught him, brought him up in the right ways. But in the Masoretic, there's no hint that it's referring to the things that King David taught his son Solomon. It's only referring to where you want to turn yourself, whatever you want to do, Solomon. Okay, verse 5, significant difference. There's an omission here. In regards to the blood, it's innocent blood. And this is a judgment call made by David to actually call it as innocent blood, to identify it as such. Verse 9, you shall by no means, versus therefore. So one is emphatic, the other one is less less emphatic, obviously, less serious. Will know. And will know versus no. So when the time comes, you will know, versus you already know. Verse 14, business with you, versus I have somewhat to say to you. So this is King Solomon approaching his mother, saying, I have business with you, versus something to say to you. Oh, it's not King Solomon, it's Adoniah, sorry. It's Adoniah, not King Solomon. Verse 16, do not turn away your face, versus deny me not. And this seems to be in a Hebrew idiom that means to not deny or to reject. Verse 17, again, he will not turn his face away from you, versus will not tell you no or nay. Verse 19, there's a significant difference here. It says, kissed. King Solomon kissed his mother, versus simply bowing himself too. So he did not bow before her in this verse, in this context, but kissed her. Shows the relationship he has, being his mother. Verse 19, continuing on, a throne. So notice, if this were made into a feature film, this chapter, there would be another throne prepared and set just for his mother to sit on his right hand. However, or on his right, to the right of him. Not to mean literally sitting on his hand. And then in the Masoretic, it's not so. They're not setting down a throne. It says, he sat down on his throne, he caused a seat to be set for the king's mother. So it's like probably not equivalent to a throne. So people would think, oh, like a little footstool or, lesser chair anyway. Verse 20. Reject you. I will not reject you versus I will not say you nay. Verse 22. He has for his companion versus even for him. So it is denoting the special relationships between Adoniah and his companions, Abiathar, Joab, Zeruiah, or I should say Abiathar and Joab specifically. So those are his two companions, or described as his companions by King Solomon. Verse 23, big difference, our first one of this chapter. It says here, if actually this is inserted, that's why I say it's a big difference. This is not originally in the original manuscript. It says, King Solomon swore by Adonai, saying, Elohim, do so to me and more also, that Adoniah has spoken this word against his own life. So it turns out, yes, he did speak these words. So that's why King Solomon is going to take action. However, in Masoretic, it reads like this: Elohim, do so to me and more also, if Adoniah have not spoken this word against his own life. He did speak it. So this is a big contradiction. You could use this again to prove the Masoretic text contradicts itself. And I know some people would say, yeah, the Bible contradicts itself. No, it doesn't. The Masoretic, yeah, it does. If you're looking at the Septuagint, no, it does not. Because Adoniah, excuse me, he did speak against his own life. Because he relayed the words to his mother, and his mother relayed the words to King Solomon. Verse 24, significant difference. It says, as Adonai spoke, versus as he promised. So he didn't promise this here in this verse anyway. Not expressed as such. Verse 25, there's an omission of in that day. Why do I point this out? Is because some may say, okay, he died, but not on that precise day. It could be, a day or two later, a week later. No, he died immediately in that day. It was not a prolonged death. He didn't somehow survive after the encounter and then died, further down the road. Verse 26, farm, notice that, to your farm versus your own field. So it's not just a bunch of fields that are barren. No, this is farming land where crops are grown, agricultural land. Okay, so that's that one. 26, there's an omission of this day. Again, just to be specific. Have born versus bear. Again, past versus present, but I'm going to bring this up later on. Removed versus thrust out. I don't know if it's this verse. Removed versus thrust out. Okay, it's verse 27. So it is clear that Solomon removed Abiathar. Didn't just kick him out and he could still be a priest. He was removed. His authority, his titles were essentially removed. Let's keep it simple. Verse 28, significant difference. It says here, he, Adoniah, went not after Solomon. Joab had turned after Adoniah. So it's referring to Joab. Joab did not go after Solomon, meaning not that he's hunting Solomon, means he did not pledge allegiance to, he did not follow him and serve him the way he did to Adoniah. What does it say in the Masoretic? Here's our big difference. It says, Joab had turned after Adoniah, yes, but not after Absalom. I mean, yes, that's true, but that's not what the text is saying. Because Joab had the chance to serve Solomon, the rightful king. He did not. So why are they bringing up Absalom? Right? What is the relevance in bringing that up? That should be the question in this verse. Verse 29. Significant difference. There's an omission here. It says, and King Solomon sent to Joab, saying, what ails you, that you have fled to the altar? Okay. And Joab said, because I was afraid of you and fled for refuge to Adonai. So there's a lot of information that is omitted here. I could even say there's a big difference, but I'm going to keep it as a significant difference because, number one, it's not like a doctrinal, salvational issue, but King Solomon shows concern towards Joab, saying, what ails you? He seems to be concerned. What is the matter? You fled to the altar, and then Joab answers. There's a dialogue going on. You can see the respect between the two of them through the messenger, Benaiah, I believe. And so he responds, and he seems to be frank. He was afraid of him and fled for refuge. Whether this is true or not, this is what he said. But we have no clue this conversation took place. We have no clue Solomon was concerned for Joab. And we have no clue that Joab even answered as well. So there's a lot of information and important details omitted from the Masoretic text for this account. This is relevant to the not simply the account, but relevant to the facts and the interplay and the characterization of each distinct individual. Okay, significant difference is omitted. It says when Benaiah was sent by Solomon, the instruction was to slay him, but don't just kill him, because in the Masoretic it just says fall upon him. It says bury him, so we can see the respect that was shown to Joab by Solomon. Verse 31, the blood he shed without cause versus the innocent blood. So yes, it's innocent in a way, but he shed it without a cause. So it's not just innocent, it's more than that. It's even more blatant, it's more egregious. There was no cause. Verse 32, has versus shall, and this is the point I wanted to bring up. It should really apply across all the videos I've been uploading and all the material I've covered since Genesis up to Malachi. Hopefully, Yah willing, we get there. But it's this, and I put here note bene. Notice this very well. Keep this in mind. In Greek, we're going to look at the two verbs. It says here, has versus shall. Adonai has versus shall. So yes, he had not killed him yet, as far as I know. But it says he shall return. So what's important to notice, at least in the Greek, I don't know about the Hebrew right now, but in the Greek, verbs are not conjugated according to, or oftentimes it doesn't seem to be conjugated according to the past tense, present tense, or future tense. It's up to the translator to have the wisdom, to have the discernment to know which one would, how the verb would be conjugated. Okay, moving on. Verse 35, there's an omission. A lot of information here is omitted. I'm going to read it out for you. And Solomon, son of David, reigned over Israel and Judah and Jerusalem, and the Lord, or Adonai, gave understanding to Solomon, and very much wisdom, and largeness of heart, as the sand by the seashore. So that is an idiom. I'm not sure what that means right now at this time, but that was omitted. 37. Another omission. This is a significant difference. It says, and the king caused him, referring to Shimei, to swear in that day. Why is this important? Because it signifies, or it shows us how Solomon had gotten the consent of Shimei. And indeed, Shimei did make a vow, made a promise to Adonai. So that is very important. This is recorded for eternity, essentially. Verse 38, 3 years is how long Shimei dwelt there versus many days. And verse 39 just simply confirms the veracity of the Septuagint, because it says it came to pass after those 3 years. That's what it's referring to, and it says 3 years. And then the Masoretic just pulls out 3 years. Why? Well, the Septuagint has it, so let's just copy it, right? That's verse 38. Verse 40, nothing there. Verse 42, it says here, testify versus protest. Testify to you versus protested. So it's important to realize that the word that is, the Hebrew word that is used here for protested, that is ud, can also mean to return, to warn, and to witness. So essentially it means the same thing, but we don't know that because the translator used the word protest, which is, let's be honest, it's probably not the best English translation. So something is lost in the translation here, or something is, I'm going to say, a little bit not as accurate, maybe even mangled to some degree. So testify is a lot more accurate. Okay, and then it says here to the right or left versus walk abroad anywhere, which could be an idiom to also mean the same thing as right or left. Is simply to deviate. It means to deviate, walk abroad, to not stay within the lines, to not walk along the road. You're not going the straight and narrow, you're going off to the wayside. That's what it means. Okay, verse 44, closing up here. Your mischief. You know all your mischief, which your heart knows, versus all the wickedness, which your heart is privy to. Excuse me. Okay, pardon that interruption there. So we're going to close with the last verse, and this is a big difference. It's verse 46. And you're going to see why it's a big difference. Just look at the left side of the screen. Look how much text there is. And notice how little text there is in the Masoretic. It's just that little paragraph. So I'm going to read all that was omitted from the Masoretic. Reads like this. And King Solomon was very prudent and wise, and Judah and Israel were very many, as the sand which is by the sea for multitude, eating and drinking and rejoicing. And Solomon, or Shlomo, or Suleiman, however you want to say it, was chief in all the kingdoms. And they brought gifts and served Solomon all the days of his life. And Solomon began to open the domains of Lebanon, and he built Therma, in the wilderness. And this was the daily provision of Solomon, 30 measures of fine flour, and 60 measures of ground meal, 10 choice calves, and 20 oxen from the pastures, and 100 sheep, besides stags and does, and choice fed birds. For he ruled in all the country on this side the river, from Raphi unto Gaza, over all the kings on this side the river. And he was at peace on all sides round about. And Judah and Israel dwelt safely, every one under his vine and under his fig tree, eating and drinking and feasting. That's a typo there. From Dan even to Beersheba, all the days of Solomon. And these were the princes of Solomon: Azariah, son of Zadok, the priest, and Orniu, son of Nathan, chief of the officers. And he went to his house, and Zobah the scribe, and Basa, son of Ahithalam, recorder, and Abi, son of Joab, commander-in-chief. And Achir, son of Edrai, was over the levies, and Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, over the household and over the brickwork. And Kachur, the son of Nathan, was counselor. And Solomon had 40,000 brood mares for his chariots, and 12,000 horses. And he reigned over all the kings from the river and to the land of the Philistines, and to the borders of Mizraim. So Solomon, the son of David, reigned over Israel and Judah in Jerusalem. So that's all for this video. Thank you very much for your time. Until next time, I bid you all Shalom Alechem. Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Salamu alaikum. Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Irini Mazisu. Pax Vobiscum. Peace be unto you. May the Lord bless you and keep you always. And Maranatha.